The origin of music has a big relationship with Greek mythology. Also, we can say that the word music comes from the art of the muses. In addition, it was thought that music had magical powers, so it can cure illnesses, modify the behaviors and feelings of a person, or it can make miracles in nature, as in the myth of Orpheus. Greeks were the first in two things. They were the first using the idea of philosophy, love to wisdom, and also they were the first culture that can get information of something using basic reasoning and observations. The first philosophers tried to find the explanation of the harmony and proportion of the universe, cosmos, the opposite to chaos. The most important philosopher of this period, Pythagoras, promoted the idea that numbers can help us to understand the universe. Music can also be represented with these numbers. To be more specific, music intervals can be represented with numbers. In the 5th century before Christ, Greeks reached their biggest development. That's why they had a lot of influence in two very important things. In the Roman Empire, and the Pythagoras music theory had also a lot of influence in the Middle Ages music.
The early Middle Ages. It started in the 5th century with the decline of the Western Roman Empire and finished in the 10th century preceded by the late Middle Ages. This period is also called the Dark Age because it was an era of war, as the barbarian armies were trying to invade the land previously controlled by Roman armies. In this period, the society was divided into privileged, which consists of the king, the nobles, and the clergy, and non-privileged, which consists of poor people. Feudalism emerged in order to protect the poor people from the continuous invasions. It consists of a relation between lords, who were the nobles, and their vassals, who were peasants. Peasants worked in the nobles' land and in exchange they received protection from them. People in this period had a theocentric view of the world. Nobles thought they received their power from God, while poor people believed that life on heaven would be better than life on earth. They believed in Christianity, and they demonstrated their faith constructing cathedrals. The church had a big influence in society because it decided about education and politics. This was a pre-Romantic period, and the Frankish kingdom emerged. This kingdom corresponded to the needs of churches, in special monasteries. The style was divided into Merovingian style, Carolinian style, and Ottonian style. In the Merovingian style, there were built large stone buildings like monasteries and palaces. The Carolinian style emerged during the period of Charlemagne. He was interested in church music and he propagated it through its empire over Europe. He caused liturgical music to develop, and he laid the foundations for musical culture of nowadays. And finally, the Ottonian style, which consists of illuminated churches with luxury objects inside.
The only medieval music we can learn is those that was written. Because of this, we can only conserve that music which have relation with church. That music was collected in manuscripts which help us in the recovery of the original form of Gregorian chants. Gregorian chants are monophonic liturgical music of the Roman Catholic Church, developed between the 9th and 10th century. It was used to accompany the text of the Mass. Gregorian chant is named in honor to Saint Gregory I, who was a pope between the years 590 till 604. Charlemagne, king of the Franks, imposed Gregorian chant on his kingdom. Gregorian chants are organized into 8 scalar music models and are categorized into 3 melodic types based on the number of pitches sung to each syllable. Syllabic chants have primarily one note per syllable. chants 2 or 3 notes per syllable predominate. While melismatic chants have syllables that are sung to a long series of notes, ranging from the 5 or 6 notes per syllable to over 60 in the more prolix melisma.
The late Middle Ages, from around 1000 to 1450, is divided into the Romanesque and the Gothic style. The Romanesque style. Romanesque churches have thick walls, few windows, and dark interiors. The majority of the roofs have barred vaults or groin vaults. The shape of the church was based on a Latin cross with lateral aisles separated by the arcades. Most Romanesque sculptures and paintings were made to decorate the church. They represent Christ, the Virgin, and the Child. The pictures painted on the walls were also very simple. The best example of this is the Pantocrator, in which Christ is Judging. In terms of music, the Romanesque style was so important in Western areas because of the rise of polyphony. The first example was the organum, that were firm songs, and originally melodies as basic of polyphonic. The organum involved two music voices, Gregorian chants melody, and the same melody by a consonant interval, usually a perfect third of a perfect fourth. From these two voices processes in parallel harmony. Organum was originally improvised, and it sounds like this. The Gothic style. The main characteristics are the point arch, the rivet vaults, and the flying butters, and use stone as a material to sustain the sculptures. The combination of these elements made the construction of tall buildings with large windows possible. The sculptures are very common in the facades of the cathedral, around and above the doors, and they are more lifelike. Paintings are difficult to find because the windows occupy many space, but they are more lightness and they combine colors. The Notre Dame School is a good example of the Gothic style. In terms of music, the new Gothic style includes the medieval polyphony, rich with includes musicians like Leonin and his melismatic organum, that the organ's voice sustainable with enormous melismas at the top. And the Perotin, with the Sedendum, that the organum combined with 3 or 4 voices, each of them with different voices, like this. Some other musical forms are the motet and the conductus. The motet musicians began writing new texts for the upper voices for organ. Was the most important in polyphonic music, were texts in French, but they originally once were in Latin. They combine different tastes and voices, like this. And at the end, we have the conductus. It has a rhythmic style, adapted to accompany a procession. The boys sing at the same time, like this.
Outside the cathedrals and monasteries in the Middle East there are songs and jazz music. Some protagonists of the secular music are the Gaulists, that were scholars over Christianity that wrote and sung in Latin. The most famous manuscript in the is the Carmina Burana. It reflects the Carpentier's philosophy. The troubles and the troubles were musicians and poets were members of the noble class, and their music was vernacular, monophonic, secular song, and accompanied by instruments. The language of the troubles was Occitan, and the language of the troubles was Old French. The trouble songs were about war and court law. The difference between troubles and jongleurs that troubles were nobles and played and composed their own music, and jongleurs were actors, singers, and only performed. Some characteristics of the secular music are monophonic music based on a Christian mode. All the compositions were strophic, using different verses or creating different sections. Simple or clear rhythm related to dance, and sometimes instruments inside it. Some important facts of the secular music are that Adam de la Halle and Alfonso X the Wise were most famous troubles because they used Castilian language instead of Latin. The Cantigas de Santa Maria forms are of the largest collection of vernacular monophonic songs from the Middle Ages. During Ars Nova period, composers applied for secular and religious music the same technique. Finally, we find polyphonic form with all the musical development of this period that it made the way to the Renaissance.